So have you been anywhere? Have you just been at the centre, or have you been tropping?
No, I was busy going around different places.
Alright.
Visiting in different places.
In the UK, yeah?
In the UK,
yeah.
Haven't been abroad yet.
Alright. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the weather's been okay the last few months here, so it's been
So, how is your practice going on?
Yeah, it's okay. It's just
Yeah.
I've been meditating at work and when I go offshore, and but maybe not so frequent. No, but I've just been. I was on holiday last time home, so
Okay.
and the time before I did some extra time offshore, so I've been busy, but I have been meditating. So not just when I feel irritable. I do it when I'm feeling good as well. So it's not just so no, it helps. So no, things is good. It was just I missed coming here for the meditation. So really glad to get back to it. So.
Again, you still can come on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So
Yeah. But you're doing meditation every night, is it not?
Yes.
Or,
yeah. But there won't be any teachings. That's all. But on a Tuesday and Wednesday night, we have
talk.
Kind of a talk and a discussion going on, like that.
Yeah. It's just to fit in. So I can probably come on Sunday mornings and maybe you do Saturday morning meditation as well. You still do that, So
I was this afternoon. I was in the field doing my walking meditation.
Right.
And after that, I was sitting in my little hut practicing meditation. And I was reflecting that in our life, whatever we are doing, we are expecting something in return. And we want to see the result as soon as possible. And as a result of that, non-stop, we are doing something, and we do not know how to stop. And even the stopping, again, there is some sort of aims or some sort of wanting to be or wanting to have. So, and as a result of that, it's very difficult for us to practice meditation, because the practice of meditation and the benefit of it, it's very hard to see. And as a result of that, it's very easy to give up practice of meditation, and that simply hinders the pursuing us to practice, and continuation of the practice also hinders too. So while I was doing this walking meditation, I was reflecting, why am I doing it? And then suddenly the thought came, I am doing it in order to improve my practice. So there is a desire in order to. So there is a subtle intention, subtle desire there is, wanting to be, wanting to have something. And then I reflected on, by just standing, when this thought came into my mind, and just stopped there, and then reflecting again, stopping itself, there is another state of desire that, why I stop, right? And that simply is to aware of my thoughts. See, and again there is wanting to know something. And there is constantly doing and constantly looking for something, rewards, all the time. And I was reflecting that as a result of that, lay people non-stop working to get something in return and to live life in a way, comfortable life. So there's a constant fulfilling some sort of a desire that we have, and unaware of it. And with that, we are going into the darkness, or in the circle and the cycle of this birth and death. And this birth, and it's like a recreating something else at all the time. So the very moment when I was aware of it, that it's sort of a like stopping in a form of something there but nothing. It's kind of a mindfulness, being mindful of that very moment of this thought and this process and this connection and this conditioned. It's like just stopped. And that stop again is not the complete stop. There is something changing. Changing. The changing is, the first change is our mind. Observation itself changing. Knowing itself is changing. Whatever we are perceiving itself is changing. And that's the way we are perceiving it. And the more we are aware of it constantly, it's like, although we say practice of meditation is to be here and now in the present moment. But when you look at it clearly in that state, the present moment again doesn't exist itself. It's always changing. Always changing, always changing. So that's why when I reflected on the Buddha's teachings, Buddha compared, this body, this body also never stopped on its own. There's so many things happening in this body. Millions and billions of atoms is created and vanishes, and created and remained for a while and then vanished so many times. So with that reflection, I was remembering the teachings of the Buddha and one of the suttas, that Buddha compared this whole mass of 5 aggregate as a group of bubbles. A group of bubbles that combines together and remains for a certain period of time. And we grasp it as this bubble as remains for a long time. But uncertainty is there. As the weather changes, as the water changes, then the bubble will just blast. And our life ends. But not knowing that, what happened is we grasp onto ourselves that this is me, this is mine, right? And we're holding on to it, and with that we crave to something to fulfill this, right? And then go on with that. And then we take everything that's happening within us. Again, it's like all the emotions and feelings and everything that happens. Sometimes we may feel like, I want to go far, far, far away from this society, from this community, this whole human existence. It's like a complete renunciation of the circle and the system. That's like a Bob Marley sing the song, the Rastaman. So being a Rastaman, and went into the forest living in a hermit. And that's the kind of a thought arises simply because we are unable to accept things. And this is again the conditioned life. We are human beings, and it's obviously we come to contact with things. And then the sensations and feelings obviously arise. And with that feelings and this sensations, we transform it into our emotion. And with that emotion, we attach to it, we grasp onto it, and then we make a big story of it. Right? But when we look at what the Buddha was teaching, that through the practice, what we have to realize that each and every sensations or feelings arises, that just moment. It's a momentary arising. Right? That's why Buddha said this feeling as a bubble. Not a group of bubble, but just a bubble. It's like a rain falls onto the ground and it forms the bubble. How long do you think it lasts? It won't last long. Right? It won't last long. It's just a rain drops and creates the bubble and then blasts. Right? And that's same with our feelings and sensations that arises. The very moment something comes to contact with our body or our ears or our eyes or our smell or our taste, then that very moment this feeling arises. Right? And the very moment when this feeling arises, if we know the nature of this feeling, as the water drops and it creates the foam and then drops, then we will not be attached to it. Otherwise we will be looking at this rain falls, bubble starts, we see it beautiful and it goes and we're crying, where is my bubble? Right? So we will be crying like a baby. I want to have that bubble, but you cannot have it. What you are having is just the reality of it. But what normally happens is whenever these things happens in our life, anything that comes to contact and then creates the feelings, then it transforms into the emotion, and we grasp onto it, holding onto it, right, and longing for it, and with that, it's enabled to be free from it. And it's not easy to do. So that's the practice of a meditation, is to see this form and how it creates and how we desire to let it exist. We want to have something after it, but in a reality it just drops. So practice of meditation is to see it, that this is like that. Right? But because of our perception to things, that whatever we see, whatever we think, the perception of it allowing us to see that that is true and it should be belongs to me and it should exist as it is, and that's the problem, right? And we create this form, this form as a reality, and we hold on to it. It's like when we are driving a little longer straight line, straight road, and when the sun shines, that makes a mirage, right? And particularly when we watch the Hollywood movies, we can see when somebody is driving for a very long drive, and you can see there's like a water bubbles, and the mirage starts to see that there is a water in there. But very close you go, the more you're closer, then you see there is no water. That's same with our perceptions too, right? We perceive things differently, and our perception created on the basis of what we've been taught, what we've been coming through, and what we've been associating with, and that won't change until we see the true nature of it, right? So that's why the practice of meditation is to see that as a mirage, understanding that every knowledge that we have, everything that we know now is past, given. It's a knowledge that we have acquired from reading, from hearing, from associating. Yeah? And then we take it as a truth. Yeah? We take it as a truth, and then we hold on to it that this is the truth. And that's how we create the distinctions, differentiation between one to another. But whereas the practice of meditation helps us to understand that this is what I was told but may not be the truth. Yeah? It's just a conditioned truth, conditioned reality. Yeah? But as we practice, and we will be able to see that, oh, okay, you will be able to accept that this been taught to me. Like myself, I wasn't born Buddhist. So there are so many things that I have learned from my own background, my own culture, my own religion those days. But those days I was thinking that that's the truth. That's the reality. And that was my perception. But the very moment when I came and studied Buddhism, then I realized those what I thought was the right. Those perception that I had, that was right, is no more right. But that doesn't mean that I'm going back and condemn all those perceptions that my father and my generation and my siblings have. Right? But the very moment when we have seen it, then we see that this is just a mirage. And that's same with when the Buddha enlightened and he was meditating and he was thinking that whom should he go and teach for the first time. And after he reflected his teachings, he thought, this teaching is very sublime and it's very hard to be understood. And those who are having, or those who are indulging in essential pleasure, and those who are having this defilements in their eyes and their senses, it would be very difficult to understand, and it will be just a waste of my time. So I would rather meditate and enter the Parinibbana. See, that was, he had a thought. But after investigating, he thought, okay, there are some people who are able to understand those who have a little hindrances or little defilements and intelligent enough to understand. So he began to teach. So he traveled from the Buddha Gaya, where he enlightened, to the Varanasi, which is quite a long distance. So he traveled, and the first he met one ascetic on the way, and this ascetic asked the Buddha, having seen his serenity and this aura coming out from his body, asked that, oh, you look very illuminous. Who is your teacher? Who are you? Are you a god, angel, or serpent? A serpent here means the kind of form of a respected one. And he said, no, I am the Buddha, enlightened one. So he didn't believe him. See, and that's simply because he has that perception that to be the Buddha is not that easy job. And Buddha was simply saying, I am enlightened. And he also said that I didn't have any teachers. So with that perception, this ascetic thought, how could it be? Without having a teacher, and you are enlightened. Although he knew the enlightenment is possible, but when very moment somebody told him, the one who is enlightened, saying to him that I am enlightened, his perceptions couldn't accept him as the enlightened one. right? And that's simply because his previous perceptions that he had just blocked to see and to understand it, right? And the second, again, after he didn't understand and he didn't ask, so as a result of that, the Buddha didn't teach him. There's no point, because he just left. He just left. Oh, could be, it could be. So didn't stay. He just thought, oh, you could be. And he went away. So he lost the chance to hear from the Buddha. But after that, the Buddha went on traveling to see the 5 ascetics, his fellow friends, those who were helping while he was practicing meditation, striving to be the Buddha. But because, again, the 5 ascetics left him because of their preconcept they had, the perceptions they had, that to be the Buddha, to be enlightened, you should fast until your death. Now Buddha changed his mind and he took some food to eat. And having eaten that food, these 5 ascetics, the friends, those who were strongly believing that he would be the Buddha, right? But having seen Buddha is eating, their preconcept, perception that they had that he is changing, right? So the Buddha to be, the prince, ascetic prince, he has changed his mind and he won't be the Buddha anymore. So that strong faith changed into no faith. And they left. See? And that's also because of the perception they had. And that's simply because the condition, the situation, the society they were living in. Right? So the Buddha went on to see them. They were in Varanasi. And then on arriving, all the 5 ascetics thought that, oh, look at this prince. Probably, he has eaten enough to make his body again fresh and luminous. Now he probably going back to the a kingdom and to be the prince. Right? We are not going to respect him. We are not going to welcoming him like that. But the story says, as Buddha arrived closer to them, each one of them went to welcome him. One went to receive a bowl, one went to prepare the water, one went to prepare the seats. And that's simply because of the aura or this spiritual power that Buddha received or this achieved through this enlightenment. And then Buddha sat down. And that moment again, Buddha said, I am enlightened. I'm here to teach you. They didn't believe. See? And that's simply, they didn't believe because they have seen that Buddha had eaten the food. Right? Buddha had eaten the food. And that eating food was the obstacle for them, because they have that perception it is not the way. Yeah? And that's same with us as well. Sometimes, in the West as well, that people think, oh, this is Buddhist monk, and meditation coming to the center is you're probably coming to convert yourself. And with that, because of that perception you have, and I am a Christian, you are a Buddhist, I should be going to learn in a church, why should I coming to the Buddhist center? And with that perception, you're creating difference, and in the meantime, you are getting no benefit of it at all too. So that perception again, making us in a different state. And that was same with the five ascetics. In that case, and then the Buddha said to all the 5 ascetics that, friends, have I ever said that I was enlightened? Have I ever said? They said no. So in that case, listen what I'm going to say. And only then, that moment, there was some hesitance to listen his teachings. And yet, they were a little ready to listen the talk. And after that, the Buddha gave the first discourse, which is called the turning the will of the Dhamma. And after they have heard it, the Venerable Kandanya, he realized, oh, all the conditioned dharmas, all the conditioned things are transient. Anything that arises through the condition, subject to cease. And that's how his eyes opened, wide open. So he was just like awakened from the darkness. He was just awakened from the long sleep. And he was so happy. And so he was so happy that I have seen, I have understood it. And then having understood that, the Venerable Kandanya have understood the teachings of the Buddha himself was so glad. At least the Buddha was able to convince someone and awakening someone. Yeah? Like that. So there's just simply, although we have seen such a great teacher, but because of the perception that we have, then it blocked. And we cannot see the truth, the simply mirage. We're just seeing that mirage. Right? Like that. And with that, if we have a clear understanding, then we have an open mind, open heart, and ability to try and get the benefit of it. That's why the Buddha said that his teachings is akaliko, timeless. Right? And it is not just akaliko, it is not saying that you come and see, right? It's just saying that come and see. That means come and try. It's challenging us to experiment what he said, rather than saying come and believe me. But it's completely different. It's like there is a complete freedom there. Complete freedom is there. And that all we can see only simply by experiencing it through the practice. But if we are not practicing, then how could we understand? It's like we are driving and we saw that mirage and thinking that there is an ocean and we are not going closer to it, and we're feeling frightened of it, and then what happens? We will not be able to see the reality of it. So that's how it works, right? And not seeing it clearly, we form so many things, layer after layer, layer after layer, layer after layer. And then we're creating a boundaries, this boundary, that boundary, and this to that, you and me, and I am Buddhist, you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Hindus, I am Asian, you're British, like that. And with that, layers after layers, then the whole system just collapses. That's same within our mind. That's why when we are practicing, the more we practice, these things will come up, one after another, one after another. That's why in a practice of meditation, whenever all the sensations or whenever the feelings or the thoughts arises, we're just knowing it as it is, rather than rather engaging on it. The very moment when we engage, we are creating something, right? But rather than creating, practice of meditation is to see it, know it, bin it. See it, know it, bin it. But what normally we do is see it, rather than knowing it, we are going into the grasping, taking it, seeing it, taking it, and hide it. And with hiding, we just keep it in a sacred place. And gradually, we will have this Mount Everest in our shoulders. Right? Like that. So, the practice of a meditation will help us to understand that how many layers that we have in our hearts and minds. It's like in a white paper. And we have written so many things again and again, again and again, again and again. Just one piece of paper. It's like we have this one heart, and we have written so many things from eons of time. If we believe the law of karma and then rebirths, we do not know how many lives we have lived in the past, and we do not know how many lives we're going to live again. So until now, we do not know how many things we have written in that little piece of paper. Now we have to unveil it. So practice of mindfulness meditation it's like a tool, a little rubber that we got. Right? And we are just erasing one after another and unveiling what is in there, the secrets in there. And that will just like that. It's called the defilements. It's called the hindrances that come in. In our Nepalese language, it's called a vikar. It's like something which is west. It's coming, and we can see that. And that you can see in your own practice. As body calms, as you understand the feelings, and as you're not engaging with the feelings and not grasping the feelings, and that moment, the perception stops and these starts to come. And when these starts to come, and that moment, rather than engaging and commenting or objecting or anything on it, just watching it as we watch, taking it out, and it just drops. There is no further going. That's why I mentioned early on that when I was doing this morning, this afternoon when I was doing the walking meditation and practicing, very moment when I stop, it was like there is no further going again. There is nothing after. Just empty, but not empty. There is no further. But when we are doing something at all the time, there is something that we are expecting, rewards. Even walking to somewhere, we are expecting something after all. We are going to reach somewhere. So we are creating one after another. But when we, at the very moment when we are mindful and fully aware of that moment, it just stops. No further going. And that we will be able to understand through our practice. Anything that is coming, aware of it and then stops. Aware of and it stops. And with that we will be able to see that the present moment that we call in a conventional level is not the present moment. It is just, it's like a myth. It's like a continuous going on, and we're believing that this is the truth. But in reality it's not. Right? So, and that's the practice that we can use it in our life. And then we can apply into our day-to-day life, anything that we come to contact, how it is we are engaging and how we are engaged with it, and how we can be free from it. And ultimately, in a short term, is to be mindful. Mindful of it, what it is, as it is happening. So that's why it's not just a mindful, but also need the wisdom to cut through. And that is, in a way, it's called sampajanya, having clear understanding of it, clear awareness, cutting through, which happens only in the present moment, rather than connecting with the past, future. So this moment here, cutting every moment, every time, cutting. And if you can maintain that cutting, you're enlightened. Yeah, like that. So, that is for the reflection of today. Anything else?
Well, I guess it's like the prize for, well for me, if I do the meditation, the prize or the object is peace and serenity. I know that since I started meditating and being more mindful, that is it's not the reward or I've got more self-awareness now, so I know if I deviate and forget to meditate and not mindful and not, then I guess it's looking at the meditation as the medicine, really, is it? So if you don't meditate, you become sick. So then the anger, resentment, all this, and trying to control people, places, things that then projecting in the past. Okay, I regret. Then forward. So then you move away from the present moment.
Yeah.
So it's
that's as we practice, then gradually we'll be able to see it. And most important is to be aware of it. And continuously practicing. So. Okay, so let's do the loving kindness meditation. I wonder where Matthew went. Bring your attention to the room and to your body, spending a few moments observing the body presence here, and relax the whole of the body, feeling sensation throughout the body. And as your mind settles down, reflecting a few moments on tonight's discussion, any subjects or issues or ideas that you want to take away and reflect in your day-to-day life until seeing you next time. And understanding the importance of the regular practice. Bring your attention to your body again. observing body sensation. Just to feel the body and the heart. Bring your attention to your hands, observing sensations in your hands. Any sensations. And gently bring that attention to your heart, feeling the beating heart. And if you can't feel the beating heart, physically smiling will connect you. So physically smiling and feel the connection with your heart. And as you feel the connection with your heart, generating loving kindness and compassion to yourself. May I be happy. Experiencing the happiness within yourself. And you're sharing that happiness from bottom of your heart to yourself. The word happiness is not just a happiness. That's not the word. But true feeling from bottom of your heart. May I be happy. May I be at peace. Experiencing tranquility and peace, serenity within yourself, both bodily and mentally. May I be free from suffering. Sometimes it may be very difficult to accept that we have suffering and feeling freedom from it. So allowing yourself to be free from those sufferings. Whatever sufferings you're experiencing, allowing yourself to be free. May I be free from suffering. May I be free from hatred, anger, jealousy, ill will. May I be free from hurtfulness. May I be free from all the calamities. Free from any kinds of troubles of body and mind. May I be able to maintain my happiness and peace. Making a firm resolution to be able to maintain such serene and happiness within ourselves, within yourself. Now we are doing a loving kindness meditation to all other sentient beings, starting from near dear one. So bring into your mind whoever close to you. Could be family members, parents, husband or wives, children, family, or friends, or relatives. Whoever need it at this very moment. May they be well, may they be happy, may they be at peace. May they be well, may they be happy, may they be at peace. May they be free from suffering. May they be free from hurtfulness, hatred, anger, jealousy. May they be free from troubles of body and mind. May they be free from all the calamities. May they be able to maintain their happiness. Now extending our metta beyond our boundaries, infinity, all the sentient beings, far and wide, whatever beings there are, visible and invisible beings in this room, in this country, on earth, in the universe. Beings who has got no legs, 2 legs, 3 legs, 4 legs, or uncountable legs. Big and small, tall and short, living on earth, living in the water, on the sky. May they be happy. May they be at peace. May they be free from suffering. May they be free from hurtfulness. May they be free from hatred, anger, jealousy, ill will. May they be free from calamities. May they be free from troubles of body and mind. May they be happy and able to maintain their happiness. And whatever beings there are, those who are well and happy, may their well-being and happiness increase. Those who are unhappy, may they be happy. And whatever merits that we have accumulated may they share, may they receive, may they be part of it and achieve happiness and freedom. May this be cause for the liberation. Nibbana pachayo hotu. As you hear the gong, slowly coming out from meditation, and reflect for a few moments on how peaceful you have achieved. Let's pay respect to the Buddha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivade Sawahato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Subhadivano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namah. Okay, thank you very much. Would you be able to give a lift to Matthew?
Certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like a lift? Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
No worries. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that'd be good. So I'll probably maybe make it on Saturday, but definitely be here next Thursday. Tomorrow
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah.